I actually had direct experience of voting in Uzbekistan in the past because I led the OSCE ODIHR election. It was a limited election observation mission in 2015 for the presidential elections. And we had no short-term observers. They were not invited. Our access was much more limited. We were not so warmly welcomed by the election administration, and perhaps most strikingly, that climate of relative freedom, which the presence of independent voices, particularly on social media, has created, did not exist and appeared unimaginable.
So, as we look forward now, the next election is 2021 in Uzbekistan, and we know that you have met President Mirziyoyev. He'll probably run again. What would be your recommendations as the country, I guess, looks forward? What is there to do for 2021?
Well, we actually publish a final report. It'll be coming with the new year, and that will include recommendations. You will have guessed from our findings today and the shortcomings that we pointed to in the observation of procedures and in the management of the count, and above all in being strict about ID regulations, which are very clear in the law but were not so clear in practice, indeed sometimes quite openly ignored. I think in a gesture to try and improve inclusiveness, there was a lot of signing in of voters on polling day. This is not in line with international best practice because it can affect the integrity of the process. It also means that brand new single electronic voter register was not being used to its full potential. So I'm sure that the recommendations will probably focus on these outstanding issues.
Two things that were most vocal from the public regarding these elections were that many complained that the selection of the candidates were very unfair, very unprofessional. And, the Central Election Commission says, well, that has nothing to do with us. It's the party politics. Parties are free to choose whoever they want them to run. Second was obviously the lack of real opposition. So your position on those both?
Well, we were not here for the time of candidate selection, so we didn't observe that. There is nothing in the law to spell out how this should be done. There are best practices internationally. There are countries which even by law impose participated and transparent primary elections. So if the parties might consider adopting such strategies to improve the involvement and the participation of voters and citizens. Regarding your second point, which was
the lack of real opposition.
The opposition, well, that is something we do address because, yes, it became patently an issue. The lack of a genuine contest. If all the participating parties are supportive of the same policies, then either it becomes a test of personalities, but people didn't seem to be that interested in personalities. They seemed to want concrete replies to concrete concerns. And I think they feared that they were talking to people who might not have the power to address them. So it will be up to the new parliament to prove them wrong and to prove that perhaps they have got representatives who can live up to their mandates.
When we address this issue, they say, well, we cannot generate artificially. We can't just, bring artificial opposition parties from somewhere. They're very much against registering any outside groups, and there are some so-called Uzbek opposition groups outside who would like to come. So we know that the Uzbek government is not open for them. But now they're saying that there is this organic opposition growth from within the country, so we just have to wait. Is that justified?
Organic growth can sometimes be surprisingly fast. So I wouldn't put it past citizens to generate the opposition if they wish to have their voices heard in also different sectors and from different opinions, standpoints, within the laws, the limits of the laws. And what we have pointed out, and other international organizations such as the UN, is that the current registration process for political parties is so burdensome that it has excluded new entries. We also add and have recommended, and I'm sure probably will return to this, independent candidates might be a way to multiply the range of opinions represented. And I note that while we were here, in the weeks that we were here, this was being openly discussed also in government, and so who knows, that discussion may result in some changes in the rules.
What have you heard, this is my last question, what have you heard back from the government, also from the Central Election Commission, regarding your initial statement findings?
Well, we handed it to them just as we handed it to you, but they were courteous enough to make it clear earlier on that whatever our findings, they wish the door to be open and this dialogue to continue, and the constructive cooperation which preceded these elections to be able to continue as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.